I went to a presentation at the National Academy of Human Resources. I'm a fellow in the National Academy of Human Resources, and they did an interesting presentation on the topic of employee engagement. And these were three of the top HR people in the world, and the presentation was very impressive. They talked about everything they knew about engagement: recognition, rewards, training, compensation, empowerment. It was all wonderful. Then they said, in spite of everything, global employee engagement is near an all-time low. I'm thinking, wait a minute. If we all know so much, why is it employee engagement is no better today than it was 30 years ago? It hasn't gone anyplace in the last 30 years. Then I realized one thing. 100% of the discussion was, what can the company do for you? And absolutely 0% was what you can do for yourself. Now, when I say 100 and 0, this is not an exaggeration. 100% of the dialogue in employee engagement was, what is the company going to do to engage you? And absolutely 0 was, what can you do to engage yourself? I remembered the famous John Kennedy speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This was 100% the opposite of the John Kennedy speech. It was all, what's somebody do for you, and nothing, what are you going to give back? Well, I thought about this, and I thought, wait a minute, these people are missing half an equation. I'm always flying on the airplane. There are two flight attendants. One's positive, motivated, upbeat, enthusiastic. One's negative, bitter, angry, and cynical. Have any of you ever been on that flight before? Same pay, same uniform, same employee engagement program. What's the difference? The difference is not what's on the outside. The difference is what's on the inside. Well, that got me started to thinking about various sources of research that show why the real variable is not the program, it's the person. Learning from executive coaching. In my coaching, I don't get paid if my clients don't get better. Better is not judged by me or them, it's judged by everyone around them. This is not a secret, it's a well-publicized fact. The client I spent the most amount of time with didn't improve at all, and I didn't get paid. Client I spent the least amount of time with improved more than anyone ever coached. 200 people got better, and I did get paid. This is a humbling experience. For those of you with a background in mathematics, I made a chart. On one dimension, it was called time spent with Marshall Goldsmith. The other dimension was called improvement. There was a clear negative correlation between spending time with me and getting better. I thought, well, this is a troubling chart. I go talk to my friend who improved the most, who was ranked last year as the #3 greatest leader in the world in Fortune magazine. His name is Alan Mulally. Alan just retired as the CEO of the Ford Motor Company, did a spectacular job of turning the company around. Stock went from 1 to 18.4, and he did not take 1 cent of our United States government taxpayer money. Little round of applause for this guy. Good guy. I go talk to my friend Alan. I said, Alan, of all the people I've coached, I spent the least amount of time with you, and you improved the most. Then I said, Alan, I showed him my chart. I said, Alan, the way this chart looks, had you never met me, you'd really be good. So I asked my friend Alan, what should I learn about coaching from you? He taught me 2 lessons. He said, lesson number 1, your biggest challenge as a coach is called customer selection. You pick the right customer, you win. You pick the wrong customer, you lose. And he said, don't make the coaching process about yourself and your own ego and how smart you are. Make it about those great people you work with and how proud you are of them. Then he said, as the CEO of Ford, my job isn't that different. I don't design the cars, I don't build the cars, I don't sell the cars. I got to have great people. And every day I go to work, I tell myself, leadership's not about me, it's about them. Well, one of the messages we have not given the employees is, it's about you. We've told them it's about a program. My research on leadership development is very compelling. I've got a research study. 86,000 people have been in my classes. I measure, do they do the stuff and do they get better? You know what? Shockingly, the people that do the stuff get better. Amazingly, the people that go to the classes and do absolutely nothing don't improve. Now, I have good news. They don't get worse. No, they just stay the same. Well, you don't get better because you go to a training program. You don't get better because you put a values plaque on the wall. You don't get better because you hire an executive coach. The key variable to change is who? It's inside us. We are that key variable. Now, why is change so difficult? Why is it we fail on even little things? Why are all of our New Year's resolutions dropped? We live in a perfect storm of distraction. A perfect storm of distraction. President Clinton talked about that. I thought it was interesting. He said he didn't have a TV. That's one of the reasons he was so successful. We live in a perfect storm of distraction. Emails, voicemails, text messages. Why don't people do what I teach? Well, I'm probably the only teacher you know that's measured this from tens of thousands of people. I said, why don't you do this stuff? Years ago, my biggest client was Johnson & Johnson. 98% of the people who went to my class said, I'm going to do what Marshall just taught. A year later, 70% did something, 30% did nothing, not even 1 minute. I'm not ashamed of these numbers. I'm proud of these numbers. 70% of 2,000 people is 1,400 people getting evaluated by 10 coworkers each. 14,000 people have a little better life. That's a pretty good thing. I got to talk to people who did nothing and said, why did you do nothing? Answer had nothing to do with ethics, values, integrity. It had to do with a dream. Yes, this is a dream I've had for years, and many of you have had this dream. Many of you have had this same dream. Many of you have had this same idiotic dream on a recurring basis for years. And this is going to describe why in life we don't do what we know we should. Some of you are thinking, wait a minute, he don't know my dreams? What's he talking about? Don't bet against me on the dream. What's the dream sound like? I'm incredibly busy right now. Given pressures of work and home and new technology that follows me everywhere, and emails and voicemails and global competition, I feel about as busy as I ever have. Sometimes I feel overcommitted. I don't tell others, but every now and again my life feels a little bit out of control. But you know, I'm working on some very unique and special challenges right now. And I think the worst of this is going to be over in about 4 or 5 months. And then I'm going to take 2 or 3 weeks and get organized and spend a little time with the family. And I'm going to begin my new Healthy Life program. And after that, everything is going to be different, and it will not be crazy anymore. Has anyone in the room ever had a dream that vaguely resembles that dream? And how many years we've been having the same dumb dream? Well, there's not going to be any 2 or 3 weeks. Sanity's not going to prevail. Well, there's an outside chance tomorrow it's going to get even crazier than today. Now, we have a variety of delusions that keep us from becoming the person we want to become. The planner bias. What does that mean? The person doing the planning is not the person doing the doing. The understanding-doing gap. The challenge is not understanding. It's doing. We believe it won't take that long. Yes, it will. It won't be that difficult. Yes, it will. The high probability of low probability events. We never plan on these things because you say, what are the odds that would happen? Well, there's a million low probability events that could happen. We can't objectively evaluate ourselves, and the one thing that's probably the biggest, we deny our need for help and structure. We totally overestimate willpower, and we deny our need for help and structure. The great Western disease, I'll be happy when. The great employee engagement myth, the employees will be engaged when. When the company does this, they will all be engaged. Now I'm going to teach you what I promised. Takes 2 minutes a day, costs nothing, it's going to help you get better at everything. Are you ready? Look into the eyes of your partner. Look into the eyes of your partner. I want you to imagine your partner is going to call you on the phone every night for the rest of your life. Every night. Now, I pay a woman named Kate to call me every day. She called me today. She'll call me tomorrow. She called me yesterday. Every day, Kate listens to me read 32 questions that I wrote and provide 32 answers that I wrote every day. Somebody asked me, why do you pay some woman to call you on the phone every day? Don't you know the theory about how to change behavior? I wrote the theory about how to change behavior. That's why I have some woman call me every day. I know how hard this is. You think it's easy for me? I got 11 million frequent flyer miles on one airline. Any of you have at least 1 million? How many is 11? That's a bunch, right? Well, that's an excuse to be out of shape and divorced, and I can make up all kinds of excuses with 11 million miles. They don't count for too much. Why do I have somebody call me every day? Because I need help. If I had the courage to do this on my own, you know what, I would. I don't have the courage to do this on my own. It's hard. Now, every day she listens to me read questions that I wrote. I'm going to share a couple of mine. The key, though, is here's your homework assignment. You get out that Excel spreadsheet. On one column, you write down a series of questions. 7 boxes across every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every question is answered with yes, no, or a number. Yes is a 1, no is a 0, or a number. Fill out the little form every day. At the end of the week, that Excel spreadsheet will give you a little report card. I'm going to warn you in advance. The report card at the end of the week will not be quite as pretty as that values plaque up on the wall. When we do this day after day after day, do you know what you quickly learn? Life is so easy to talk. Life is so hard to live. This is hard to do. This is hard to do. Now I'm going to share a couple of my questions. One of mine is, how many times yesterday did you try to prove you were right when it was not worth it? I've almost never got a 0 my whole life. Kind of hard for that old professor not to be right all the time. How about that old HR professional? Did you ever try to be right just a little bit too much? How about a good one for many people in this room? How many times did I try to help people yesterday when they had no desire to be helped? How many minutes did you walk, push-ups, sit-ups? Just a whole bunch of questions about life. It's amazing how well this process works. And my friend Jim Moore would tell you this saved his life. It didn't kind of save his life or sort of save his life. It did save his life. Was one of the questions for him every day. Are you currently updated on your physical exam? First 90 days he did this, he said no every day. After 90 days, he said, this is embarrassing. I've got to get the dumb exam or quit asking the question. He got the dumb exam. Doctor said, you have cancer. That was several years ago. He's going to be fine. The doctor also said, had you waited 7 more months, you would have been dead. He was 65 years old. He knew he should have got a physical exam. When you hold a mirror in front of your face every day, it's hard to hide. How many people in this room, please raise your hands, have ever avoided a physical exam before and told yourself, I'm going to get that exam after I begin my healthy food diet and exercise program? Come on. Look at all these hands. Now, did we trick the doctor with that strategy? I was teaching at the University of Michigan. A man raised his hand. He said, I am the doctor. Well, we don't ask the question because we're afraid of the answer. Get in the habit of asking these questions every day, and it is amazing how well it's